Let's say China.
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 China. China.
There are next door neighbors, and you can actually see Russia from land here in Alaska.
Go over to China.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Trump's face, tweeting out insults to Angela Merkel. What's he doing?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host.
Yes, hello, and welcome. I am James Andrews, and you are listening to So This Happened, the only news you need if you have absolutely no access to the internet, cable television, or normal television. It is Monday, the 17th of July 2017, and today's program is brought to you by the numbers 3 and 6, which incidentally is the same number as Donald J. Trump's approval rating today, 36%. Yes, I thought it was quite funny myself, and here's something that isn't funny. A lady today in Solihull Hospital in England had a mass removed from her eye. It had made her fairly unable to see for the last 35 years. That mass turned out to be 17 contact lenses stuck together. And then after further examination, 10 more were found. Yes, this lady had been walking around for 35 years with 27 disposable contact lenses in her eye. Now, I'm not one to judge, but generally speaking, when something says it is disposable, that means you use it and then you throw it away. You don't say, right, that one's starting to get a bit, not very clear, so let me just stick another one on top of that. Oh, that's much better. I can see clearly now. And apparently this lady was quite shocked, and she thought that her discomfort was just part of old age and dry eye. And so, for those So This Happened listeners who do wear contact lenses, let me give you 1 or 2 tips on wearing contact lenses. Number 1. Don't wear your lenses for longer than you have been told to, and not for more than 16 hours in a day. Number 2. Wash and dry your hands thoroughly before putting anything into your eye. Number 3. Never apply makeup before putting in contact lenses. Number 4. Don't go swimming when wearing contact lenses. Number 5, and this one's very important, replace your contact lenses regularly to reduce the risk of infection. Number 6, if you spot any signs of redness, pain, or loss of vision, consult your optometrist immediately. And finally, and this one, lady from Solihull, if in doubt, take them out. Very simple. And that was my health advisory for the day. And staying on the theme of health, the Republican healthcare bill has been delayed. The vote, which we were told would happen sometime after July 4th, has been delayed. Mitch McConnell, the Senate Majority Leader, has put on hold plans to vote on the proposed bill, while John McCain recovers from surgery he had this weekend for a blood clot. Now, is this just a convenient coincidence, or is Mitch McConnell emailing and text messaging every Republican senator saying, hey, if you need to get that root canal, do it next week. Yeah, you do that. Anyone have a hernia? Does anybody have a hernia they need to take care of? Go take care of that. Paul Ryan, did your spine come in? The one you ordered, is that ready to be fitted? Because if it is, today, or, this week would be a really good time. Let's just keep everyone in hospital. Let's delay this fucker as long as we possibly can. But on a serious note, we do wish John McClane, not John McClane. I keep saying John McClane because I'm obsessed with Die Hard. But John McCain, we wish him a speedy recovery. There were some reports today that it may have actually been a more serious operation than they were letting on. And if that's the case, lots of good vibes to John McCain. And of course, this delay, who does it really help? I suspect, actually, it helps the people that are not in favour of the Republican bill, because now it's given opponents more time to organise rallies, protest, call-in campaigns, mass emails, door-to-door canvassing, pretty much anything that they're doing. They now have more time to do that, so Godspeed to all those people. And on a complete side note, it is Made in America week, apparently. The White House have deemed that this week is Made in America week, and it's sort of a funny thing for somebody who has made billions of dollars from selling shit that is not made in America. If you look at the Donald J. Trump signature collection, it's either made in Mexico or China. Ivanka Trump, her footwear is made in China. Her, whatever else she makes, it's all made in China or Mexico or, other places. Essentially, wherever the cheaper labour is at the time, that's where the Trumps are going to be making their clothing. And I speak not one word of a lie about that. That is absolute true. That is true news. And apparently, congratulations are in order to Sung Hyun Park, who won the US Women's Open this weekend, which I actually would not have known had I not been following Donald Trump on Twitter, because that is pretty much all he tweeted about all weekend was how excited he was to be at this golf tournament. Not one word of, I hope John McCain's doing all right. I hope Jimmy Carter's okay after his little collapse there up in Canada. No, none of that. Just, great golf tournament. Well done. Ooh, this is fantastic. I like this. It's good stuff. And coincidentally, the tournament this year was being played at the Bedminster Golf Club in New Jersey, which, yes, you've guessed it, Donald Trump owns. So in fact, all his tweets this weekend about how great the tournament was in fact just one big fucking advertisement for his own private golf course. So, well done, Donald. Well done indeed. And now I would like to weigh in on something that is a little controversial, and little is me being very polite. You have probably seen the headlines already about a man called Omar Khadr, who is a Canadian citizen who was held in Guantanamo Bay for a number of years. He was just paid $8 million by the Canadian government, and a number of people are finding this very offensive and saying, why are we rewarding a terrorist with $8 million lottery? Let me share my thoughts on it for just a moment, if I can. And we have to go back to sort of the beginning to understand where I'm going to come at this from. Now, Omar Khadr was born in Canada in 1986. Now, his father, who was from Afghanistan, took Khadr back to Afghanistan. Now, his father was affiliated with Al-Qaeda and other terrorist organizations. Now, on July 27th, 2002, this is when the whole story really begins, Omar Khadr was 15 years old. Now, he was severely wounded in a firefight between US soldiers and Taliban fighters. Now, during that firefight, Khadr allegedly threw a grenade over a wall and killed an American Delta Force medic, Sergeant Christopher Spear. He was then captured, and he was detained at Bagram for a short period before he was sent to Guantanamo Bay, where he spent 10 years there, reportedly being tortured many times. Now, the fact that a US soldier was killed in a firefight is a terrible thing. That's always a terrible thing. But where I want to come from this is this. This was a 15-year-old boy who was taken from Canada by his father to Afghanistan. He was then caught in a firefight. And I remember when I was 15 years old, I wasn't really good for anything, really. And all you're thinking about is yourself, really. I mean, well, when you're 35, that's all you're thinking about. But as a 15-year-old boy, you're there in this firefight. It's very scary. If he did, in fact, take a grenade and throw it, I'm not sure that you can actually put that much blame on a 15-year-old who's friends and family are being killed in front of him. Now, they're terrorists, and I'm not saying that, oh, they shouldn't have been killed. Fair play. But at 15 years old, you're seeing your father get killed. If there's a grenade lying there, you're going to throw it over the wall. Anybody would. So then he was taken to Guantanamo Bay at age 16. Well, here is where the problem in that comes. At age 16, you are a minor. You're not an adult. But he was held without any charges because, you don't need charges to be held at Gitmo. So there he was, a 16-year-old boy, locked away in Guantanamo Bay where God knows what happened. It's sort of... There are rumours about what happens down there. I'm not sure anybody really knows, but we can agree that it's not a very pleasant place to be. Khadia's lawyers, in fact, said that he was kept in solitary confinement for long periods of time. He was denied adequate medical treatment. He was subjected to short shackling, and he was left bound in uncomfortable stress positions until he soiled himself. His lawyers also alleged that his interrogators dragged him back and forth in a mixture of his own urine and pine oil. And so it seems that this kid had a pretty hard time down there. So now, if you go to Fox News, their headline today is all about how this terrorist got this lottery-winning amount of money for killing a US soldier. The reality of it is a little bit different, I feel. This was a 15-year-old boy who was terrified in a firefight, whose father was killed in front of him, as were his friends. He had a grenade, he threw it, perhaps. But can anybody blame him for doing that? I really don't think you can. He was then taken to a high-security prison where you essentially have no access to any lawyers or anything that your human rights demand as a minor. So this $8 million payout, this is because his human rights were violated. And were they? Well, yes, they were. Now, I'm not going to argue that what he did was a good thing. Of course not. If he killed this soldier, then what an awful person. But I see how it could have happened. And can I label him a terrorist? I don't think I can. In good conscience, I really don't think I can. And in his defense of giving Khadia the $8 million, Justin Trudeau said, "When governments violate Canadians' fundamental rights, there have to be consequences, and we hope that the message going forward to all future governments is you cannot ignore or be complicit in the violation of Canadians' fundamental rights, regardless of what they did." And that's a very powerful message, and I think, for one, that Justin Trudeau is right on this one. We can't say Omar Khadia did nothing wrong, but at the same time, we have to acknowledge that his fundamental rights as a minor were absolutely violated by the US government. So does he deserve an apology? Probably so. And whoa, that shit just got really heavy really quickly. So straight on to this. China has banned Whinne the Pooh. Yep, no more Whinne the Pooh in China. And the reason Whinne the Pooh has been banned from China is, well, he looks an awful lot like Xi Jinping. If you Google Whinne the Pooh, Xi Jinping, they really are very similar. And a lot of blogists and satirists in China have made this comparison, and so it's caused Whinne the Pooh to be banned from China. It's a sad day when Whinne the Pooh and Eeyore are banned from China. And it's also the end of the program. So, thank you very much for listening. I will chat with you tomorrow, and remember, you can always follow me on Twitter at SoThisHappen. And if you're feeling generous and you want to become part of the So This Happen family, you can head over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/SoThisHappenedShow and become a member of the family and help produce this absolutely wonderful, spectacular and professional piece of fill in the blank. Anyway, goodbye. Ciao.